In this video, we are going to cover why KH and calcium are the most important elements for coral skeletal development, particularly best explained in relation to SPS corals, also known as stony corals. Let's break down SPS and its meaning. The S stands for small. These branching or encrusting corals have an abundance of small pulps representing the P. And the final S stands for stony. Stony coral, as per their name, are made out of a sedimentary composite in the form of calcium carbonate, better known as limestone. Particular areas of note within the UK that have an abundance of limestone include the Peak District and the Jurassic Coast, especially the small famous island of Portland. Did you know, around 340 million years ago, the area which we now call the Peak District was actually covered by a clear, warm and shallow sea, full of microscopic shell creatures and larger, ancient invertebrates. Over millions of years, these creatures formed thick calcium deposits up to a depth of 600 metres in places, and some have eroded in strange formations, like the ancient coral reefs around Crome Hill. Today, an estimated 25% of all marine life, including 4,000 species of fish, are dependent on coral reefs at some point in their life cycle. Throughout millions of years of evolution, shallow water corals have gone from a once fully white organism dated to the Cambrian period to the beautiful, colourful creatures first brought to light in the UK by Charles Darwin's book, The Structure and Distribution of Coral Reefs. Modern corals have developed a symbiotic relationship with a microalgae symbiont known as zooxanthellae, although, to this day, the coral skeleton, at its core, still remains the same. So, how can you, a reefer, give your corals the composite of that limestone they need to grow? You do this via dosing both Ocean Genesis calcium and KH buffer solutions. We have developed tailored software for calculating buffer dosages and monitoring tank health metrics. Let's take a look at the chemical reaction that allows corals to form their calcium carbonate skeletons. Our KH solution provides the carbonate molecule to your tank. Carbonate is composed of 1 carbon and 3 oxygen atoms and has a -2 charge, which drives the formation of the molecules. Our calcium solution provides the calcium ion, which has a +2 charge. The charge of these two reactants creates a strong attraction and forms calcium carbonate. The first step to forming a coral skeleton is to add carbonates, better known as the alkalinity. Now you can see that in the water surrounding your stony coral, the saturation of the carbonate ions has increased, adding a -2 charge to the water column. A strong and stable alkalinity yields a pH of between 8 and 8.3, thus indicating an ideal saturation of carbonates surrounding your coral branches. The second step, and the last to click regarding coral consumption, is to add calcium alongside the initial calcium provided from your salt mix for the ideal concentration. When calcium is being consumed, you know your reef is growing. By the addition of calcium, you are adding a +2 charge to the aquarium's water column. Due to the strong electronegative charge posed from the oxygen atoms in the carbonate, stony corals can readily attract the carbonate or KH ions via a calcification reaction. Then, once the coral has a favourable concentration of carbonate ions beneath the coral tissue, which is often indicated by that stable pH of 8.3, will it then start to attract the calcium ions in the water column using the -2 charge of the carbonate ions. This is a highly strong reaction and is termed a complete combustion reaction, given that the two reactants, calcium, which has the +2 charge, and carbonate, which has the -2 charge, meaning that they completely form with the aid of coralline enzymes, a stable pH, and the aid of the energy acquired from the light-dependent reaction provided from the zooxanthellae symbionts during the day. Then, the calcium carbonate, which is the final S in the stony coral, is formed, which is effectively how corals grow. This is the very reason why dosing your aquarium with the correct amount of calcium and carbonate in the form of KH, using our tailored calculations based on your weekly or bi-weekly test results for calcium and alkalinity, will yield the best results. Take the next step in streamlining the health of your reef and understanding the complex chemistry going on inside your tank. Head over to oceangenesis.co.uk.